All right. So first, before we get into this testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Can you hear me? Okay. Just wait. Let's see. It's here. It's a little off, so I'm looking kind of crooked here, but hopefully, uh, you all can hear me. Okay. So before we even get started. Okay. So what I'm going to do is for this, I'm going to actually move some sources here. So today we're going to be getting into synchronicity. And this is a kind of like a morsel from the previous superhuman classes to kind of get everyone kind of prepared for the Beyond Human 2025. And so I'm about to send out another notice real quick here so people can get their reminder. And then we're going to get straight into it. So I hope everyone is doing well within your space and time. Of course, I'm Tony Vortex, and I'm here at the Metacenter. Shout out to those who are here as well. Just so you all know, if you are in the area and you see one of these upcoming, you are welcome to be present in the flesh. It could lead to some interesting conversations, but I would just suggest to you that you let me know ahead of time so I know. All right. So, well, I would say let me know ahead of time so I know that you're coming. All right. All right. One moment here. All right, one moment, everyone. All right, so here we go. So shout out to everyone that you're here. So what you're going to notice. All right, so what you're going to notice here, first off, I want you all to let me know if the sound goes out or if I need to adjust or anything like that. You also see I got the whiteboard behind me. So if it comes to that, I'm going to switch cameras and I'm going to be writing things on the board. But we'll see if it gets to that. These sessions, these morsels, let's call it, are not to be lengthy, right? So I give myself up to an hour, but 15 minutes, 30 minutes or so to give you all kind of like a power shot, and then we move on, right? And I'll see you all the following week. So right now there's 4 classes scheduled. Today is dealing with synchronicity and manifestation. Next week is dealing with archetypes. The week after that is dealing with superhuman health. And then the week after that is dealing with soul energy. Okay, now I may add that takes us to the first week of October. And we have about 2 more weeks before the week of the Beyond Human 2025. Okay, so if you think, if anything comes up in questions or comments or anything like that, I may add more classes to it. But for now, that's the class schedule. Again, you're welcome to be here if you choose to. And you do not even have to come to the Beyond Human 2025. I highly suggest you do, because there's going to be morsels that's going to give you insight of what's going on behind the scenes of the world, between secret societies, all kind of stuff, but not just hocus pocus. This is information that you can actually use in your daily life. And that's the whole point, right? I'm not here just to sell you something, because this class is free, right? We have free classes at the Meta Center all the time. And so it's not just to sell you something. And it's not just to waste your time. Ideally, if I did my job correctly, you're able to utilize the information that is being stated in your daily life in some form or fashion. Okay. So let's see here. So again, we're getting straight into it. All right. So when we talk about coincidence, all right, or we could even say it is the divine language of meaningful events. So across all traditions, whether it is the burning bush of Moses, the dreams of Joseph, or the appearances of deities in Hindu stories, right? Synchronicity is often the language the divine used when words were insufficient. Okay. Uh, Let me change this here real quick. I'm about to show you all some pictures as well, so it's not just going to be me here speaking. So, so we talk about divine words. Words use synchronicity is used by the divine when language is insignificant, right? Because sometimes, because we have different languages and so forth, even if you want something divine to be shown, the communication between two people may not be as efficient as showing, for example, iconography, you know what I'm saying, imagery, okay? In Gnosticism, it may be your higher self or Sophia guiding you. In Sufism, is the friend pulling you toward remembrance. In the Kabbalah, it's the Shekinah weaving signs into your path, right? So synchronicity is not coincidence, okay? So synchronicity can be looked at as more so cosmic. Okay, so why does synchronicity matter, right? So it is not coincidence, okay? It is highly statistically unlikely, but charged with meaning, okay? In the religious sense, is God's signs or guidance or tests. In the esoteric, is the cosmic harmonics showing alignment. In Gnosticism, it's the cracks in the demiurge's illusion. Now, don't get caught up in the words I'm using that you might not know. We can get into that later, okay? This is going to be public, and let me give you all a caveat. Many of you have come to the superhuman classes over the last 12 years. And the one thing that's commonly said after every class is how in the world around us, you start to see the so-called coincidences, okay, the so-called coincidences that we talked about in class, and they become much more amplified. What you're going to learn here today, and when we get toward the end of this today, I'm going to show you a way to literally change your life, literally, okay? It's not going to be hocus pocus, okay? And I'm going to show you factually actually what even the Metacenter members have done in the past, okay? But understand this, these classes were private before, right? They weren't virtual like I'm doing for you right now, right? So that means that not only will people who are, let's say, of good nature will be getting this information, but also people of negative nature will also be getting this information, because this will be put on YouTube. This will be blasted all over social media, right? So that means that think of when you're tapping into the divine, and this has nothing to do with saying, you know, chants or praying to some strange god. Literally, it is you don't need it. It's completely not needed in this scenario at all. So that's deep when you think about it, right? Because you got people all over the world where they'll say, my religion is the key to divine inspiration or something like that, right? But yet you have other religions who may believe the opposite that also say the same thing, and they are receiving information. So on both ends, you have this person over here who may be religion A or spiritual system A, and they say ours is the way to the divine, ours is the way to higher information, right? And that's it, period. But then you got people who maybe believe the complete opposite of them, who are also saying the same thing and who are also making progress in their life, right? And then you got people even in the middle who don't believe in none of that stuff, okay? Because remember, belief is a choice, okay? Knowing the truth or of reality of what it is, that's different, okay? You could believe anything you want to believe. Right now, you can believe one thing, and then tomorrow you can believe something literally different. And that is a fact, okay? So you got a person in the middle who doesn't believe any of what these two systems believe, and yet they're also making progress in life. So then it becomes, if we use our mind here, right? If we use our mind, okay, which the Creator has given us, right? The Creator of all has given us, right? Then literally is something more in action. It's something more taking place than just belief, because you have people believing all types of stuff. You got people believing in that cows are their God. You know what I'm saying? You got people believing that you got Luciferians. You have the 45,000 denominations of Christianity. Okay, 45,000 denominations or sects of Christianity. 45,000. So which one of them is the truth, right? You got people believing all types of stuff, and yet, no matter what system it is, you can find people making absolute magnificent strides. And then also you can find people who are absolutely suffering in all of these systems as well. So it has to be something more than just belief. Okay. So let's go back to why synchronicity matters. I got a little tongue twisted there. We got into how it's not coincidence. We got into religion, esoteric, Gnosticism, right? And metaphysically, the language of the soul in dialogue with the cosmos, right? So in short, synchronicity is, you could say, is cosmic, a dance between your inner world and outer reality, okay? So I'm breaking this up in parts, and I'm giving you imagery in the form of pictures and video because I really want you to see this, okay? And you see it for yourself, right? Because it becomes where now, for the person who's always the skeptic, and even religiously, many religious systems talk about the skeptic. No matter what you show the skeptic, they're always going to be skeptical, right? You can say, what will make you believe? Okay, and you hear this, of course, especially in Christian scriptures when it came to Jesus, stuff like that, that in short, this person will be right in front of you, and you're still not going to believe. You're going to come up with all types of theories and and algorithms to say, okay, I need evidence of this, I need evidence of that, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but I pulled out the best evidence that I could show you of just certain hitting you from different ways so that you could see synchronicity, precision, and so on and so forth in action. So let's talk about first, we're going to go into, there's a few different areas here, right? To show how either to show the synchronicity in action or to show you firsthand how our reality is being manipulated, okay? So we're going to get into, for example, one from the military perspective. We're going to get into one from the changes from the corporate perspective, okay? We're going to get into the last one, okay, is going to be, that's going to be, I think, the most impactful, because I'm going to show you what, or even tell you what you literally can do to cause change in your path or circumstance. Especially, a lot of people are suffering right now, right? If you go on social media, everybody's suffering, right? For the most part, right? At least it come through my algorithm. You got all types of people going through all types of things, right? I'm not gonna say everybody, but a large number of humanity is going through something, right? And even if they are not, their friends and family is, which is them as well, right? So that's just that. We're also going to get into just some energetic things, and you have to be careful of. And I'm going to show you some example of something, right? So first, what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to show you a scene here from the superhuman class. Now, remember, for many of you who have never been to a superhuman course, the superhuman courses, it went over 12 years, and we got into, again, it was esoteric and exoteric, right? Showing you what reality is. This is not my belief system, okay? Showing you different aspects of reality, showing you what you could say what secret societies talk about behind the scenes and so on and so forth, to give people an edge in the world around us, okay? And so, because of that, some of that could not be publicly available until now, all right? So what I'm going to show you here first is I'm going to start off with something that took place in a conversation between me and my Jamaican brother from a few years ago. So shout out to Cheeks if he is listening, and that's his nickname. So I know he finds that to be hilarious, right? So this is this one PowerPoint slide from the Superhuman course many years ago, okay? And when it comes to, many of you have tapped into synchronicity, right? As I talked about in the previous podcast, you've seen numbers like 111, 222, 333, and so on and so forth, right? You'll put your head down right now, work on something, look up, it's 222. You'll say, okay, you put your head down again, you're working on something for a little while, you put your head up, it's 333, right? That's like 3:33 p.m. or 2:22 p.m. or a.m. or stuff like that, right? You've experienced that. Many of you have. Many of you have also experienced things like you thought of someone that you may have not even talked to in quite a few years. And all of a sudden they call or text or send an email right at that moment. Or you literally are doing something again. You're doing something else. You're not thinking about this, right? All of a sudden you get the inkling that a phone call is about to come in. And literally within half a second, a phone call comes in. You hit a ring. Okay. And there's many, many other examples in our reality. But how can you, even though you may tell people this, it's based on them believing what you're saying is true. It's very difficult to capture that. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's very difficult to show proof of that. So my job as a teacher, as one who's also trying my best to show you the secrets of our reality, so that those who have, you say, ears to hear or eyes to see, right? So that they can see these things and they don't have to be confused. Okay. So many people are walking around in confusion and they don't have to be, right? Because confusion in some cases is a choice, but also you have so many gatekeepers. You have so many people who gatekeep knowledge, right? And there are some forms of knowledge that are dangerous, right? But we're talking about just basic observations of things in our reality, maybe a step or even a two past that. Either a person's going to see it for themselves anyway, or they're not. So there's literally no need to gatekeep certain things because either a person is going to see it or they're not going to see it. One moment, maybe somebody is not even supposed to be here. One moment. How you doing? Good, good. I was trying to get to that client. Is it here? It's on virtual, but you can sit here though. Okay. Oh, okay. Now you won't necessarily see anything because I got everything going virtually right now. Oh, I can hear though. You can hear me. Okay. Okay. Yep, what you want me to do? You just get a chair and sit in somewhere back there. Yep. Where about? Just anywhere back here. This is anywhere back here. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry about that. It's good. It's good. Yep. So, yep. Okay. So, all right, everyone. We have somebody come in here. So, okay. So we talked about. So again, when it comes to, it's difficult to capture some of the coincidences, okay, the synchronicities that take place in our reality. Okay, so my job, of course, is to try my best to capture that for you, so that when we have our sessions, you don't have to believe me. I don't want you to have to believe me. Okay, because that's how you get into cult behavior. That's CULT. Okay, that's how you get into cult behavior. That's how you get into false leaders and everything else. So to totally prevent that kind of energy, I try to show you proof in our reality so that you don't have to believe me. Okay. So what happens is that there was a conversation between me and my Jamaican brother Cheeks. Okay. And this is some years ago. And we were having a conversation. And in this conversation, a person that we knew mutually by the name of, he went by the name of Justice. Okay. That was his name. He came up in conversation. And I was like, for example, asking like, how's Justice? You heard from him lately and stuff like that. And we just chopping it up about this person for a short period of time, right? In that conversation, Cheeks, which is the Jamaican guy I was talking to, he said, hey, I'm hungry, man. I'm about to order me some Uber Eats. Hold on a second. So he ordered him some Uber Eats. When he seen that his order was picked up, he checked his phone and seen, he was like, you would not believe this. My delivery driver has the same name. And this person's name was also Justice. Now, of course, it's a woman, so more than likely it's pronounced Justice. Okay, more than likely. But what are the odds of us talking about, this name Justice or Justice is not a common name. Okay, it's not something like Jacob or John, right? Or David, okay, and stuff like that, right? So it's not a common name. So for us to, for example, have a conversation and we brought up a mutual person that we know, and then Cheeks randomly, he said he was hungry, he ordered some Uber Eats, and the person who picks up his Uber Eats from Majani's that you see on the screen there, Majani's is a vegan restaurant here in Chicagoland. The person that picks up the order is a woman named Justice, the same exact name. What are the actual odds of that? This is to show you that one of many examples, and we go deeper, of course, in the superhuman classes itself, but it's to show you that the reality around us is not as real as you may think it is. It's not as solid as you may think it is. Yes, many of us go through ups and downs, right? Many of us may have children, right? And when you see, especially if you were there and you've seen your child born kind of thing, right? It's an absolutely amazing experience, right? All of these things is to get you to believe. So in those kind of circumstances, like some who have had consultations with me, they'll tell me some type of circumstances has happened in their life, right? And this person may lack certain aspects of belief, right? I would say to them, now do you believe? Right? Did this incident that took place, did it happen strong enough that now you believe? And so, you may ask me, believe in what? Believe in that the reality is real. See, all of this, many of the things happening around us is the demiurge. Okay, the demiurge. Okay, this goes into Gnosticism, in which we could get into that later. But the demiurge is, in its agents, okay, are trying to convince you that this is the only place that exists. Now, of course, when we look at religion, when we look at many different spiritual systems, many of them talk about a heaven, or many of them talk about a hell, or just talk about some spiritual paradise, or whatever it may be, right? That is showing that there are more spiritual systems, many more spiritual systems or religious systems on our planet that talk about something else than those that talk about there's nothing at all. Some spiritual systems even talk about when you pass, you just go into like a limbo state. You just go into like nothingness, right? So you still go somewhere, right? So in that, most of the world states in some form or fashion there is something else, and that's something else you possibly spend even more time there than here. But something here wants to convince you that this is it. Wants to convince you by saying sayings, especially like in a Christian church, for example, right? That you suffering now, and you'll get your good deeds, you'll get your gift in heaven, kind of thing, right? Why? Because they don't want you to understand the nature of our reality, the true nature of our reality, in that you can literally change because things are mind, right? Mind brings in matter. Okay, mind. Okay, mind brings forth matter. Think about it, right? Think about it like this. Another example. We have thoughts, right? For example, you and your mate, okay, may decide that from a thought, especially if let's say you're planning it out, right? It's not just going to be some type of random event, that you want to have a child, okay? And so you're thinking about it, you're planning it out. It's right now, it's in the spiritual space, okay? It's in the ether. And then you bring forth that act, which bring forth that child. So the thought, which is in the ether, has now became flesh or matter. Do you understand what I'm saying, right? So a thought became a thing. Okay, this is simple. Do not be confused. There's no need for confusion. Okay, we don't need confusion in this at all. This is simple. Okay, I'm not going to woo you with big words because I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm not trying to get you to look at me to be something that I may not even want to be myself, right? So this is clear. Okay, so also when it comes to, it doesn't have to be even with a child. It could be, for example, if you want to bring forth a new business, right? At first, it's a thought, right? It's a thought. And then you start to do the things in the physical world to bring that into matter, okay? You see how simple that is, right? These are typically, when you hear these types of concepts on social media or in certain people's teachings and things of this nature. They want to make it more grandiose than really what it is. Now, even though I am making this simple as I possibly can be, it is much more powerful than I'm alluding to. Okay. So going back to this observation that you see here, reading from the screen here. So speaking of someone with emotion history, because we had a historical connection to justice, we had emotion, not saying that we sat back or crying or anything like that, but we had an emotional tie with this person, and a connection times two. That's me and him. So me and Cheeks are talking about justice. That's two people. So that's times two. It brought a coincidence into existence. The more people that you have working toward, sometime again, it happens in a it's very random. Like this was more random, but more people that you have working toward a goal, it amplifies that projection into the ether, right? And it, because the reality is not what people think it is, right? We could think of it more in a algorithmic state or more of a computer-like state, right? But the more people going toward a certain goal, and if they really do have a super strong conviction toward that goal, you amplify the possibility of that goal taking place. Now, one could say, what if the opposite takes place? Like when you're trying to work toward a goal, like you're an army and you have another army working, well, then that's when conflict takes place. And that leads to a whole different kind of metaphysical or esoteric like scenario in that, and who will win and stuff like that. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next subject here. One moment, everyone. Okay. So I hope you all are enjoying this so far. So the next subject here, to show you all an example of this first, actually, let's talk about, we're going to go to this one next. We're going to go to shaking of hands. Okay. So you see these people here on the screen. This is two people shaking hands. That's it. Okay. So why does this matter? Why does the shaking of hands matter when it comes to synchronicity? And so many of you may know that I don't shake hands with people unless I feel or know, more so know, that they mean me well. If they don't, if I don't know, then I'll bump fists. Okay, I'll bump fists, or I would just, just kind of bow a little bit, and that's just it, right? And why is this though, right? So in the religious sense, greetings in scripture often imply blessings or curses. The contact itself, so when you make contact, is creating a covenant. Okay. From the esoteric lens, hands are portals, okay, of prana or chi. Touch synchronizes energy fields instantly. So you become in sync with the person that you're touching. Okay. The body is a vessel. Contact may allow programming of another's field. Okay. And this is more from the Gnostic perspective. Okay. So metaphysically, exchange is not just social, it's energetic. Handshakes merge frequencies, sometimes uplifting, sometimes invasive, and you want to protect your energy or your aura or your magnetic field. Okay. So I mentioned that they give and receive prana, chi, or subtle energies. When you shake hands, you synchronize these frequencies. A literal energetic handshake is not just symbolic. But what if the person is evil? If the person is negatively charged, corrupted, or masked, their energy may hook into yours. This is why some spiritual traditions refuse to touch or require ritual cleansing afterward. And Kabbalistic or And also Sufi mysticism. The right hand is mercy, the left hand is judgment. To extend your hand is to offer a piece of your energetic domain. In this way, even brief contact can embed programming, influence of your auric field, or even swap intentions. Some of you have been seeing on social media now, especially those who tend to have more esoteric or metaphysical or magic or religious, spiritual magic kind of systems in their algorithm on YouTube and so forth. You're hearing this new term called destiny swapping. Okay, where the place they typically in the U.S. have been seeing it happens a lot in is New Orleans, okay, Louisiana, where you may just be walking down the street, you're having a good time, eating food, and somebody will come up to you randomly, seemingly randomly, and say to you, "Hey, let's touch elbows, man. Let's touch elbows. Yeah, yeah, yeah," and try to hype you up to do that, or for you to do something strange, like, "Here, let's put palms together," and so on and so forth, right? And again, this is a random person. You don't know this person, right? And many of the witches and voodoo priests and everything else have been saying that what they're trying to do is swap energies with you. They're trying to destiny swap with you. I'm explaining to you that process. Okay. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do it, of course. I'm not here to do that, but telling you what takes place and what to do to prevent that. So you could be watchful and defensive against that. Okay. So how can you, well, let's just put it like this. Before physical exchanges, fortify yourself. Okay. You could recite protective mantras or sermons. Okay. Energy does not ask permission. It follows paths of least resistance. Okay. So ideally is this, if a person's not your family, it doesn't mean all family may mean you well, but let's say in this sense that family, when you say family, it has the connotation that they're people who are blood who mean you well, or people who you may call family who mean you well, who may not be blood, right? For anybody who may touch you, okay, you don't want anyone touching you. You don't want to exchange any kind of energy with people that you do not know their intentions. Do you understand what I'm saying? Literally, this is that deep. Now, many people are walking around here like in a halfway or full way confused state. They're walking around here just going about life lily-willy, as they say. And they are exchanging energies all over the place. And this does go to, of course, physical contact, obviously, and it goes to even sex and everything else, right? And now in places like Atlanta, Houston, and many other places, HIV rates are absolutely through the roof. So STDs, and of course, ones you can't get rid of by design, like HIV and so on and so forth, are at an all-time high, because people are so open with their energy. And this does go into some secret societies and stuff like that promote more so sexual freedom. And this is what the hippie movements and stuff like that kind of came from in secret. Okay. And then on the other side, you have other secret societies that are completely against that kind of freedom of energy, right? Because freedom of energy is not necessarily a bad thing necessarily, okay? But you have ones who are completely against that, and so they created tools to let's say combat that, okay? Which is STDs and ones like HIV and so on and so forth. So I just told you something that you may not have known, okay? So let's go on to the next one here. All right, so the next topic here that we're going to talk about, or I'm going to show, is an example of synchronicity in the military. Okay, and so I'm going to actually show you some videos here. And so one moment here. So I'm going to show you videos here in a moment. But first, let me give you some information about it. All right. So when it comes to military precision, okay, so first, actually, I'm going to show the video so you can actually see this, because you need to see this. So, because it's going to give what I'm saying context, okay, so we are all completely on the same page. And so what I'm going to show you is 3 videos. And what I want you to be looking at is the precision of movements between military marches, because they actually mean something. So for example, I'm going to show this one first here.
Defensiecadets is iets nieuws, is eigenlijk een soort van pilootproject nog op dit moment in het luik.
So it doesn't matter what's being said here, but as you're watching them move right now, this is real. This looks like a parody, but they're really marching for real. You see how uncoordinated that looks? Okay, it's all uncoordinated. It's all kind of all over the place kind of thing. And it's almost a parody, right? And it somewhat is, right? Because the Western militaries are much more precise than it seems. It's a lot of propaganda going on the world stage to make America look like fools, for example, and to make other groups of people look more precise. But there is some truth to it as well. Okay, so this is Belgium. Okay, and as you've seen here, let me hit play again. You see the way he's walking, right? So this is a military march, and you see kind of walking all strange and weird like that. Just think about it, right? From the military perspective, this is a showing of how precise a military is, right? Which is a reflection from the pleroma. Okay, so from the, which I get into in a moment, is from the Great Divine. Okay, I'm going to show you another example here. This is the military march that took place here in the U.S. This is the Trump military march. And this is not a political post, you all. We're well beyond the mundane black and white, left versus right wing, all that other nonsense that goes on in the demiurge's reality that they're trying to, again, the demiurge is the false god, okay? And what it tries to show us in this reality, right? We all beyond that, right? And so this is a deeper analysis of what's beyond that, okay? So we're looking at here, and you see people here. This is the Trump military march. You see a person running across the street there. This is sloppy. This is very sloppy, okay? If you were to get a close-up of this as well, as you see there, people are walking, and they're not walking in complete unison. They're close, but it's sloppy. Okay. Now let me show you another one here. Okay, so this is it was UK, France, right? Much more precise. Now Mexico is an interesting one here because Mexico is not precise at all. So, okay, many of you have seen Game of Thrones, I'm sure, right? And there was a very powerful significance of what they were showing you in a certain portion of Game of Thrones. You had the aristocrats, the those who are in power, right, and want to keep power, right? They have all the money and the power, okay? But then you start to see this one dude who was a religious guy. He didn't want none of it, right? He didn't want none of it. He preached scriptures, right? He preached scriptures of his faith, and he lived amongst the people. He lived a pious kind of life, right? A life of he had, rags his clothes on, stuff like that, right? And he showed no fear, right? He ended up becoming so powerful that he ended up eye to eye with those who have had power for generations and start to go above them before they were destroyed by that event that took place. And I'm not going to spoil for you if you haven't watched Game of Thrones. And it's an excellent series, and you should check that out, or even check out the books as well, because they get much more detailed and so forth. So Mexico is interesting because the those who are south of the border of the U.S., they get down. You get what I'm saying? They get down. They don't play any games whatsoever, but their march is kind of like all over the place. So it's almost like they're capturing chaos. Okay, chaos doesn't mean like destruction. It doesn't mean like being waywardly or being confused. Okay, now it could mean those things. It just depends. But in this case, it does not. Okay, but we're going to go past this because that's a deeper analysis that we could get into concerning this in Mexico and how they go about doing what they do. But again, we're talking about here precision. That's what we're talking about, precision. Okay, so continue on here. You see China. China is very precise to the extreme. And then you see Russia there. Russia is also extremely precise. You also check out the latest marches of the military parade in China. They were so precise, even from their facial expressions. Like in the Russian one here, you would even see like because of the way they're walking, stuff like that, even the way their necks were moving, it was all at in the same exact way. Okay. And that does mean something. We're going to go deep into it. Again, this podcast, this pre-training is about synchronicity, right? And this pre-training dealing with synchronicity is about showing you the truths in our reality, the deeper kind of behind the truths and how they relate to our lives and relate to the divine. Okay. So concerning the military, from the religious perspectives, in scripture, armies, angelic hosts move with divine order. Orderly movement reflects heavenly hierarchy. Rituals of synchronized movement mirror sacred geometry, spirals, circles, cosmic harmonics. In the demiurge's world, his world is mechanical. But when unplanned, so when you see things that are ultra mechanical, that's demiurge's influence. That's the false god's influence. But when unplanned precision occurs, when you see precision in the world around us, that is like super random kind of thing, right? That may be a glimpse of the pleroma, okay, or the divine, let's just say, right, breaking through. Unison, when you see things in unison, it shows collective consciousness acting through form. Evidence that unseen intelligence can move through many at once. And from the metaphysical perspective here, when we talk about synchronization, like that found in the parades that I just showed you, is not just symbolic of order, but of collective consciousness acting through ritual. Okay? The unison of marching mirrors sacred geometrical patterns found in nature and the cosmos, from the spin of galaxies to the alignment of the planets. In spiritual warfare theology, the idea of military precision can also denote angelic or demonic forces operating in structure and hierarchy. When you see synchronous movement or global coordination that defies planning, it reflects in archetypal intelligence working through humanity. So all material structures that operate with precision are part of the demiurge's illusionary control, the clockwork of the false world. But when that same precision shows up unplanned in unplanned ways, okay, identical rituals across cultures, for example, it may be the divine leaking through. Okay. So now let's move on to let's talk about some of the demiurge's agents at play. Some of you may have heard the term. If you haven't, this is going to be a big surprise to you. It's called dramatic or dynamic pricing. Okay. It's a new corporate term. And what that is, it's dealing with, and again, I'm showing proof of this to you. Okay. What this is, for example, you go to, let's just say Amazon, for example, or Walmart or a place like that, right? And you want to buy a very specific, let's just say, bath towel. For you, the bath towel is $2. For me, the bath towel is $5. But then you would say, aren't they the same bath towel? 100% the same. There's no difference. Same brand, same make. They're exactly the same. We could go get the exact same one off the shelf. We could even pick up the one off the shelf and hold it up. They're going to charge you $2 and me $5. So when you pick it up, it's going to be $2. When I pick it up, it's going to be $5. In new corporate lingo, which is very virus-like. Okay, it's very virus-like. That is called, again, dynamic pricing and so forth. And I'm going to show you proof of this. See, they talked about this, but again, I'm going to show you proof because some of these things are difficult to capture in the wild. And again, I don't want you just believing what I'm saying. There are some things that I can't show you proof of because it's very difficult to catch it in action. But those things that I can, I will. So here is dynamic pricing in action. So for example, here you see a price, right? This is for flights. Okay, this is flight school. Okay, on Groupon. And as you notice there's something I want you to see. You see here that there was a coupon applied. The coupon you see there, right? CLEB. I can't really see it here because it's so small on my screen, but you see the coupon is applied, right? It brought the price down to 102.60. Now, when I was going to purchase this is what it showed me. Okay, this is what it showed me when I was purchasing this flight school flight. Okay, when this person that I know sent this to me, this is what it showed her. As you see there, the same coupon, okay, the same coupon, but her price is $97.20. Okay, I'm going to go back. My price was $102.60. Her price was $97.20. Okay, same coupon and everything. Okay, same coupon, y'all, same coupon. Okay, then this is Groupon. So Groupon is practicing this very virus-like behavior of dynamic pricing. I just showed you this also. So this deals with the false reality, right? False synchronicity, right? False manipulation of the artificial and living algorithm. Okay, the living algorithm we could call the spirit. Okay, so as you see here, I want to show you this exactly, but this means something. Okay, so I'm showing you that there. Scripture often ties value shifts to divine will, abundance, or famine as spiritual signs. Value is energy. A sudden drop or rise in price reflects a shift in energy flow, not just economics. The material world's prices are part of the illusion, but sudden swings may hint at unseen forces trying to manipulate or awaken awareness. Money mirrors energy exchange. A dramatic shift can be the universe's signaling you to pay attention to timing, alignment, or hidden meanings. A sudden change in price, especially when it feels personally timed, isn't always economic. In some metaphysical thought, energy exchange mirrors currency exchange. Value shifts when energy shifts. When prices rise or drop at moments that align with your inner thoughts, it is resonant echo of your vibrational field influencing reality or matter. In Hermeticism, as above, so below, this could be your internal frequency altering the outer value of things. What you perceive as valuable begins to match what the universe reflects back to you. Sudden changes then are divine feedback, not market randomness. In some secret societies, market value and metaphysical value were once viewed as linked, and price changes could denote a hidden war between opposing currents, such as light versus materialism, or scarcity versus abundance consciousness. Okay? So, what I just showed you on the screen here, that you've seen for yourself, is to show you without a doubt that we are all being manipulated. Factual and actual. Okay. So that feeling that you feel, that irritation, that's kind of like in your subconscious of the reality when you go into some of these big box stores, okay, big square stores, okay. They are, that feeling that you feel is the light within you. Okay. Not everyone has that light. That light is from the divine. Okay. And that light within you is picking up on something that you may not have words for. But what you're picking up on is activity like this. This is what you're picking up on. Okay? Trust that. Again, you may not know exactly what it is. And so you may go just shopping, but understand that you should trust that and try your best to meditate to try to enhance that feeling, because that feeling will guide you throughout your life. Because the reason why Okay, I'm going to keep it quite frank with you. Part of the reason why this superhuman course is going to be virtual, again, this is the pre-training from previous, just little snippets from previous courses that we had. Okay, but all of this is going to be virtual and posted on like YouTube and stuff like that, because something is happening behind the scenes that most of humanity is not going to like at all. And it does not have to be that way. It's that way because humanity has made the choice not to utilize the power that has always been theirs. It has never been these entities. Some of these entities are clones, literally. They are literal clones from the old world. Okay. The advanced technology beyond many of our imaginations not only was here, but is still here, and is still being dug up in places and everything else. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to show you here, while I'm doing this, no matter what platform this is being streamed on right now, if you are enjoying this, then let me know in the comments that you are. Okay, let me know in the comments that you are enjoying this. So we talked about the military precision. We talked about the price changes. Okay, we talked about so we talked about shaking of hands. We talked about the Justice Uber Eats event. Okay. So the last one we're going to talk about here, which is after this, we're going to end our show for today. And I hopefully will see you next week. You can register for this class, for the next class on the website. Okay. And the next class is going to be dealing with archetypes. And I'm going to show you another scene from the previous class. It's going to be kind of funny, but it's going to show deeper, it's going to go deep into your subconscious. And it's going to activate aspects of you. That's why we call this a superhuman classes. Now, I'm going to pull back for a moment and explain to you, just in case there's some confusion, because you should not be confused. What does it mean to be superhuman? It's not anything demonic. It's not anything strange and unusual. Many of you have been in like sports when you're growing up, right? And that's a good way to show it. And if you were really putting forth your all, you could get into like this zone, right? That you were literally in that moment, the best that you can be. So you was the best version of yourself at that moment. But it's not just shown in sports. It can be shown, for example, in maybe you were studying and you were the best that you can be in that moment when you were studying for that test and so forth, right? So you were the best version of yourself. You could go no higher at that very moment, right? Being superhuman is going beyond that. And there are ways that you can, or things you could tap into within yourself to go beyond that best of yourself. Okay. That's the superhuman state. That's the superhuman version of yourself. And that's the whole purpose of these courses and classes over the last 12 years, is for you to tap into that version of yourself. For example, many of you know, some of you don't know, but I'm in my mid 40s, for example, right? Most people say I don't look like it at all, right? That's by design. That's an act of effort because of what I know about health and wellness and so on and so forth. And in session 3, I'm going to teach you some aspects of that. Okay. So you could be the superhuman version of yourself, not only mentally, not only spiritually, but also physically. So you can kind of enhance your physical body so that you can capture that youthful energy or essence that you have. Okay. Hopefully it's not gone, because it can be depleted. So, all right. So the next aspect I'm going to show here, let me find the slide here. Okay. This one talks about, now I'm going to show you how to create dramatic change in your life. Many people, hopefully none of you on the line, but many people are experiencing not the best circumstances in these times, right? And most of it surrounds economics. Okay. So, and I want you to be the best version of yourself. Why? I want to see people happy. Okay. I want to see people happy. I want to see people, me and a member yesterday who came yesterday, every first Friday of the month, we have tech class here at the Metacenter. It's totally free. Doesn't cost you anything. Okay. And I was here talking to a member named Anj, and we were talking about what we see outside of our doors, right? So I'm in my mid 40s. She's the age that she is. And we're talking like the 80s and 90s, stuff like that, right? At one point, when you travel all around the US, you seen children everywhere. Of course, I was one of those children at one time, right? You seen children everywhere. You seen families everywhere. Everywhere you went, from East Coast to West Coast, families were everywhere. Everywhere you went, there's people everywhere, right? It was children everywhere. You heard children screaming, and of course, screaming in a good way, because we know children like when they're having fun, they scream and everything else, right? They were screaming, they were having fun, playing around. Everywhere you went, this is what you seen. Nowadays, when you go outside, I travel from East to West Coast. I travel from North to South. You don't see any of that. It's very small segments where you may see children out and about. But for the most part, it's like the land has become barren. And of course, across the world, birth rates are at an all-time low, right? Children, the reason why children make a lot of people happy is because they are a reflection of possibilities or what could be. New life could bring in possibly new paradigms. It could bring in new changes for the better. And so subconsciously, when we see a child, that pureness, that possibility brings us happiness. Okay? Because it's a glimpse into what possibly could be before the taint of the false demiurge's illusionary false god reality becomes programmed within them. Unfortunately, many people send their children to the indoctrination centers, aka schools, and stuff like that, that tried its best to take that possibility away, unfortunately. And I'm here trying my best to try to show you that it does not have to be that way. Okay, but no one's going to do this for you. Okay, we're here at the Meta Center. We do what we do. We do what we can. We have free classes and everything, but it takes you to show up, for example. It takes you to really hear what's going on and then institute these practices within your life in your way. So let me show you some things here. So, and I'm going to show you in some examples of the Meta Center's members doing what I'm telling you how to do. Okay. So what we're going to be talking about now is how to change your environment, which I would say is probably extremely important for many of you all. How to change not only your environment, how to change your circumstance. Let me tell you, it may not be easy per se, but you have the ability to do it. I'm telling you for 100% fact. If you need private consultation, you could book me for a consultation. You could book a consultation session, come here to the center, and we could work on this one-on-one to try to find that secret path for you so that you can create change in your environment. Again, you're going to have to do the work, but I can help you to a point with that work. Okay. So let me show you something here. One moment here. I have so many pictures and stuff up. All right. I tell you, out of all times, right? That's how it would be. Out of all times, so many calls are coming in, so many text messages are coming in. Everybody has so much to say that has nothing to do with this at all at this very moment. All right. Of course, that's how it would be. So we're talking about dramatic action required to change one's path or circumstances. From the religious sense, every path demands transformation, repentance, pilgrimage, rebirth. Big change equals spiritual breakthrough. From the more the esoteric lens, a dramatic act is a ritual signal, a spell of intent cast through behavior. Okay? So your behavior is the casting of your intent. Okay? From the more Gnostic view, to escape the false matrix, one must rupture agreements with illusion, changing path, position, or identity. Metaphysically, strong action shifts vibration. New circumstances open new timelines. The universe mirrors dramatic inner resolve with outer synchronicity. So we heard of books and everything else like A Man Thinketh. We heard about back in the 90s or late 90s or so, early 2000s, it was The Secret, right? And it was people just talking about overall what you think, you bring it to reality, but it's not just that. It has to come with action. The stronger the action, the more likelihood that you are forcing synchronicity to take place. So instead of synchronicity being purely random, through your knowing, okay, through your knowing and implementing certain actions, you're forcing synchronicity to take place at a time where it's not random. You know it's happening, and then you can take 100% advantage of it at that time. Okay? Every major religion teaches the necessity of a catalytic act, okay, to shift one's destiny. In Buddhism, it is the Eightfold Path. In Christianity, it's repentance and rebirth. In Kabbalah, it's crossing the abyss of Daf. All require sacrifice or transformation. The Gnostics' perspective would say to leave the matrix, which is the false world, you must dramatically rupture your agreement with illusion by altering your circumstance, which is your environment, your path, which is your spiritual direction, or position, which is identity or alignment. Metaphysically, dramatic change is a signal to the universe or to the creator or to the matrix or to the living algorithm. It disrupts karmic loops, opens portals to higher timelines, and aligns you with alternate field of synchronicity. So instead of you being synced up with synchronicity, dealing with, that being down and out, for example, experiencing false illusionary things in the path, you are forcing a different path, okay, to experience things that are more of light and love, let's say, or more of abundance and so on and so forth, okay? Think of it like as a spell of intention cast by your action, okay? The Hermetic law of cause and effect ensures that any strong change in vibration causes a mirrored physical shift. Your change is the ritual. The result is the consequence. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Your change, you changing and implementing the strategy is the ritual. The result of that is the consequence. Now, some will say, man, oh, you talking about some rituals? That seems like some demonic stuff. Of course, that's a very low level thinking. But let me give you an example. When you wake up for work every day, now some people consider work demonic in a way, right? But that's a whole different philosophical conversation. But when you wake up for work at a certain time, that's a ritual. When many of you, or when you see people get married, for example, and they go through that whole ceremony that very specific way, it doesn't have to be that way. It could be different, but that's also a ritual. So we go through rituals every day. If you prefer to eat at a certain time a day, because that's best for you, that's a ritual. Okay, it's not demonic. Okay, let's remove this very baby-like thinking from our consciousness, because baby-like thinking like that inhibits us from the more adult-oriented growth that we really want to capture to bring forth the abundance that we want in our lives, right? So I'm going to show you something on the screen here, and I'm going to show you and mention something to you that you can do for yourself in your life to create that change of abundance. Okay. So here's one example. So what happened? Here's one example here. So So what happened was years ago, as you see here, this was in 2021. Okay, 2021. Think of that's years ago, right? Many of you did not know this at all. This was public. This wasn't a private thing. But what the Metacenter did was we wanted to enact change in our environment. That's what we wanted to do. So many of the members, now not every member did it, because some members have there were some who had kind of like, I would say, I don't want to just say more negative thought forms, but a little bit more nefarious thought forms though, right? Because they didn't do this, right? Even though they told me they did it. I know for a fact they did not, unfortunately. Okay. But this was a group effort. And in this group effort, what took place here is that members from all across the country, from east to west coast, from north to south, they purchased a sign, And you're going to see more examples here. For example, you see that's me right there in downtown Chicago. Okay. Here's another person here. Okay, in front of a news station. Okay, like I was in front of a news station here, for example. You're seeing multiple people do a very specific act. Here's another person here, right? Again, this is all across the U.S. Okay, you see another person here. This is our brother here who passed away, saving his daughter. Some of you seen that on social media. Okay, this brother here holding the sign, Antoine Wilson. He was out at the beach on Father's Day. His daughter was drowning, about to drown. He ended up saving her, but he drowned in the process. Okay, this is him holding the sign as well. And what this sign says your neighbor is not your enemy. Don't allow the media to divide us. And we put us like us and then USA, right? Because USA is us, right? We are stronger together than apart. So members all across the nation went out into the public. Just think about this, right? How many people you see doing stuff like this? Yes, you got orchestrated efforts who are paid actors, who are paid agitators from all types of secret groups that are there meant to cause you energetic harm across the U.S. promoting nonsense from East to West Coast. And we've seen these things all over social media over the last few years. They have caused vandalism, that have caused, of course, protests and everything else taking place, right? But in the midst of all of that, again, we did this in 2021. So this is in the midst of behavior going on that many of you have never seen or experienced in the flesh, taking place all around us. In the middle of all of that, we did this. Okay? Yes, some of you may say you could have did something different, or you may say, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done anything, whatever it may be. But this is what we did. The Meta Center here, a place that you all support, and we could use your support now. I'm letting you know the times we in, we could use your support. Okay. But we are doing what we can do within our space and time. And so I'm showing you through actual action. Again, I showed you me. Okay. Now, there's many other pictures. I just put a few of them here. There's many other members who did this all across the country. Okay. So here's me right there. That's me. Okay. So I'm out here as well showing you. And as we do these processes here, when we get to the fourth class, we're going to work on something together. Okay. It's going to be a exercise that we're going to work on together. And we're going to go out there just like this again. But you may see, some of you may not feel comfortable doing that. So you will just see me doing it. Me. I will go out there into the public in front of millions of people and do whatever I need to do because I don't have fear. Many of you have fear, and fear is breaking. Okay, let me tell you all, everything that we discussed today about synchronicity and stuff like that, if you have fear, you are canceling out the ability to cause a sync. Okay? Because you're not doing it in full faith, in full knowing. Okay, full knowing, because knowing is beyond faith. Okay, so but in faith minimal, you got to have faith minimally. The next thing is knowing, in full knowing that what is possible. I showed you as much proof as I can show you here. Okay, you would know what is possible. You've seen the proof of what is possible. You've seen proof of other people doing it, like I just showed you on the screen here, for example. You've seen proof yourself, but yet you will still doubt. That doubt will cause you not to sink as deeply as you possibly can sink. Okay. Let's say, for example, instead of you sinking 100%, you sink only 60%. Now, 60% is still fantastic because you weren't in sync at all previously, let's say. And 60% is fantastic, but you could have synced 100%. So one has to look in the mirror and ask themselves, why am I confused? Why, when I see proof, I still doubt it? Okay. I'm not just here talking to you, promising you things that are not true or not that I'm not going to do. I'm showing you proof of it in action. Okay. So how can you do it in your life? This is what I would like you to do. So this is for those of you, if your life is going absolutely wonderful and you have your family is fantastic, your health is fantastic, your financial state is absolutely fantastic, especially if you want to do anything weird for do anything strange for some change. Okay. If all of that is fantastic, then absolutely fantastic. keep it up, keep it moving, and so on and so forth. And maybe you'll support one of the programs that the Metacenter puts forward, right? Because we could use your help again. So, but regardless of that, here's something for you. For you listen to me, and you do not even have to come to the upcoming Beyond Human 2025 event that's happening in October. Okay? Look at your life. When you put this forward, this strategy, it has to be upfront. It has to be loud for you. What you think of may be different than what the next person over here thinks of. And that's okay. It's for you. But you have to look at your life, and you have to take yourself out of your comfort zone. Like, for example, let me give a simple example. You may have a business, and you think of for yourself that it would really increase my business by going door to door and selling people on what I do, right? For you, that may be something you came up with, right? But you don't do it for multiple reasons. Anxiety, so-called anxiety, right? Fear. What would they think of me? Man, people may not have the money to purchase this little thing that I have. So you think of all these excuses, right? So for you, doing something like that is so far out of your comfort zone because you never did anything like that before. And it's not something simple at all for you to do. It's very far out of your comfort zone. That's the kind of change you need. So when you think of your own life, now, of course, I could work on this with you all one-on-one. Book a consultation on the website, virtually or in person. You can come to the Metacenter and we can work on it. But you want to think of something that will bring forth what you're trying to bring forth, which is change, right? Change. You want to move on to a different timeline, okay? But also think of those things that are not in your safe space to do, right? Many of us want to stay within our safe space. You got to get out your safe space, okay? So you want to think of something that's not within your safe space, but it aligns with what you're trying to achieve. Sometimes it may not be direct, like it may not go from A directly to B. You may go from A to C, which will bring forth B. Okay? So you may do something to bring light to a situation, but in that situation, bringing light to it, the response from that will give you what you need. Okay? I get it. Now, this part of it may be because it's going to cause you to think. Okay? It's going to cause you to think. It's going to cause you to really ponder on what can this be? And that may be a little difficult. Okay? That may be a little difficult. It may take you time for that. I'm here to help. You got to book a consultation, but I'm here to help you if you need me to kind of help you with that to a point. But you're going to have to do the work yourself. You can't expect me to, and some people have been crashing out where they expect me to literally hold their hand through their entire life's processes. And even though we have discussed something and the answer has been given, so they got the answer, they agree that is the answer. So only thing they have to do is work the answer. Instead, they crash out on themselves. They may crash out on me. They may crash out on their family because they want someone to literally hold their hand when they are 100% capable of working the plan. I'm Tony Vortex. I hope you enjoyed today's session. Sign up for the next free class. You can sign up on the website. You can sign up under this video, which when it's posted on YouTube. The next class is dealing with archetypes. I hope to see you then. I'm a phone call away if you need me. Take care.